welcome back to The Real Contrast.
I'm Kyle A.
I'm Brian K.
What do you say?
From Homes to Hearth, bringing you the keys to success.
That's what you say.
Oh, yeah, baby. Excited about this one. We got some good stuff coming up on this one. We're going to talk about some due diligence.
Yeah. What is due diligence?
I don't know. I'm hoping you do.
Oh.
We're going to talk about clients talking to your agent. Nope. Agents talking to your clients. Agents talking to your clients. And how do you get your money after closing? How long's all that take and everything?
Yeah.
Let's fire it up
Yeah.
with agents talking to your clients.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, let's just set a scenario here.
Here's the scenario.
You met somebody at an investor party,
I met someone at the investor group.
and now you're putting an offer on a place they're selling with another agent.
Okay.
So you just
I'm working with the investor that I met.
yeah,
They want to put an offer on another property.
right. So your investor's a seller. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
And I met you, and I'm an agent. You're this person that's selling with another agent, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I met you at an investor party, and I'm writing an offer for my clients on your property, but I didn't know it was your property until I pulled the title report.
Mm.
And as soon as I pulled the title report, I decided to reach out to you and say, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, we're getting ready to write an offer on your property."
So my client is selling their property.
Yeah.
The buyer's agent looks at the title report and goes, I recognize Joe. I'm going
Yeah.
to call Joe,
Yeah.
the seller, and
Exactly.
say hi.
Yeah, exactly.
So what'd you do?
Oh, that's pretty simple. I just reached out to him and said, "Hey, we need to, I just was talking on everything," and he said, "Hey," and my client sent me over a screenshot and said, "Hey, I just got this, LOL." And I said, "Well, you know too many agents, but I'll handle it." And that was left at that. So after talking with him about, "Hey, where's that offer at?" And he said, "Hey, I reached out to Sarah to say hi." And I said, "Yeah, we need to speak about that." So we had a conversation, and I simply said, "Hey, look, I realize it come from an innocent place, but you're representing the buyers. That doesn't look good for you, and you shouldn't be reaching out to my client because I'm representing them. Plain and simple." And he's like, "Dude, I'm so sorry. It wasn't even a thought. I feel like a dumbass now." I said, "Don't feel like a dumbass, but this is for your protection in the future."
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't if the people I know are selling with somebody else. All I got is right on. I just smack myself with that. Right on, and I leave it to be. I am not. Me and you talk about morals all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a moral conversation just the other day about a gentleman reaching out to me who has an agent, wants me to come look at his house.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, the same day this happened, and I know the answer to it, but I like to hear it. I like to have conversations about it, so it stays top of mind.
Yeah.
Make sure that my perspective is right, because hey, face it, none of our perspectives are always right. We might see something that's we're looking at it morally this way, but we might miss something over here a little bit.
Yep. So, question for you, because
Yeah.
this might be on the minds of viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, you can't possibly be working with a client that knows other agents.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I can.
Why? Why would you do that?
Because we're under contract, and they have a choice to who they work with. I can know 1,000 people who are selling cars, but only like one guy who's selling the same car, and have put my trust in him.
Well, and anybody that's an agent out there, or especially in the real estate world,
Right.
I've talked to a ton of investors. Some investors are very agent loyal. Like
Yeah.
they are, you want to talk to me, you talk to Kyle. Period. And then other investors are very much, hey, you bring me a deal and I'll work with you.
Amen.
And so, and then that loyalty might be shown back. Say they buy the property, they flip it.
Yeah.
That might be shown back to you and say, you're going to list it for me.
Right.
I've had agents call me up and be like, hey, I called Joe and he told me to call you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Okay, well, I mean, what do you do? And like
Yep.
super solid agents that I get along with would shake their hand, don't think that they're out to hurt me. It's just a thing,
Yeah.
especially with investors. And going back to some of the NAR settlement and everything else, I do believe that the education piece is still lacking out there. And once people understand the relationships between agents, there will be less of that. But I don't think you can get rid of that in the investor world.
No, you can't. And you know what? There's no reason to get rid of it because you want anybody, if you're a consumer, to have as many options as possible. And sometimes when the market goes up and down, it's really competitive out there. And if they can get the right deal from the right agent, they need to be doing that.
Bingo.
I don't have a problem with that at all. Now, if they want to build a relationship, amen. I'm down for that. I'm gonna do the best, and no matter what, they're gonna get amazing value out of us and out of you too, and they're gonna think about you.
Yeah.
And they're gonna come back to you, and so don't take things so personal. You know, it happens. People have the right to make their decisions, and people mess up. We mess up. I mean, face it, we're not. Well, I mean, I'm an angel. You're not an angel. I believe in angels.
I'm the devil.
Yeah.
Bah, 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 bah.
And so I don't think we need to go at it with a knife and dagger. I think we need to go at it with respect. And
You can go at it with fairy wings. I'll go at it with knife and dagger.
fair enough, but you can't cut my fairy wings because they're magical.
Dusted with magic
Yeah.
pixie dust.
So I think it's nice to have all the pieces on board. And like I said, if I can earn somebody's business where they're that loyal, great. And I have clients like that, maybe not investors, and it's beautiful, man. I mean, it's a wonderful place to be when you have built relationships with your clients that stand time.
Yeah.
And mistakes. I
Yep.
mean, you were here a minute ago. I made a mistake and stopped and fixed it.
Cut out
before
half the podcast.
cut out half the podcast.
I was getting ready to say something so profound it was going to be world altering,
I know.
and now I forgot it.
Yeah.
Too bad.
So what's
All right,
what's
so
next?
next scenario here. I'm going to give you a little. Took a guy out looking at properties last week. Found the property, right? Like the views, the whole shenanigans. Okay,
Yep.
and newer buyer to me. Realistically, he actually has been working for about 13 years with another agent in the office.
Gotcha.
And originally he was looking for a different product. Now he's looking for vacant land. The area that that the agent covers, he's like, you're better off to work with Brian, so pass it along.
Right.
And so he found the property. We're talking literally last week, wrote an offer. I sent it over to him to discuss. We've talked multiple times about doing this. And he goes, before I sign this offer, I just need to talk to the power company, Northern Lights in this particular case. I just need to talk to the power company and see what the cost is going to bring power in.
Right. Yeah.
And so what's your thoughts?
Well, you can do that now. Well, probably should have done it. You have the time to do it now before you sign something, but you also got a due diligence period to take care of that as well.
Okay. So, and I prefaced him, and almost exactly what I told him to expect happened. Okay, so he calls the power company. They say, obviously you need ingress egress through these properties. Looking at this distance, it's kind of. But what we're going to need is a permission from the owner,
Right.
to be able to do this. It's going to be $750 for us to give the quote, and it's going to be about 6 weeks to get an engineer out there and to establish that quote.
Right.
Okay, so he calls me up and he's like, I just, we'll wait. And then once I find that out, he goes, no obligation. If I lose that money, I'm okay with that. And I'm like, what would you be thinking? He wants to do that prior to being under contract.
Yeah. No.
Okay. And then he goes, hey, go ahead and let's schedule the well witcher to go out there too. And I'll pay him and everything else, and don't worry about it.
I mean, it sounds good in theory. You're not tying anything up. I mean, you got to get the permission from the landowner, you know.
But what happens, and this is the scenario I gave him, okay? So first off, my head's ready to explode. That's
I
what due
bet.
diligence is made for. And
Right. I think you get 30 days on land, right? Up to 30 days on land, right?
well, you can write in
You can write
2,000
it, yeah,
days.
you can write in whatever
It's
you
a
want.
blank, but
Yeah.
it's boilerplate at 30 calendar days. So
Yeah.
here's what I asked him. I said, just out of curiosity, Kyle, why do you want to do all this work and spend all this money up front? And you know what his first thing was? Well, what's my financial obligation if I write an offer? And I'm like, okay. Remember we talked about earnest money, and we went
Right.
back, and here's the thing. Here's exactly, in my opinion, exactly what happens. He gets up to the top of this property that he's been looking for and dreaming about for 13 years.
Yeah.
He can see the whole valley, the water.
Yeah.
He can see a friend of his property right there. He is in love, and he's emotionally charged at that juncture in time.
Right.
And trust me, you guys know from watching this podcast, I talk too much. All the stuff I said,
Out
Gone.
the window. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Gone.
God, yeah.
and so I explained it to him again. I'm like, look, here's where my anticipation happens, okay? As long as I tell you about this and you make an informed decision moving forward, I'm going to sleep good at night. But you fork out $750.
Yep.
Power company comes out. You fork out another $200, $300, $400 to have the well witch. Okay, so you're out $1,000.
Yep.
$1,200. The day you get the information back from the power company,
It goes under contract. Somebody else.
yeah,
And that is such a logical possibility. I've kind of been in those shoes, not in that, but we'll wait. Oh, okay, well, if you like it, somebody else likes it. If somebody else bought it, somebody else will buy it again.
exactly. And now I'm curious if this guy has signed the offer, because he finally is like, okay, I'll take care of it. And I'm like, great. Now all of our, darn command or form simplicity is down, and everything else like that. So
Yeah, no, you're driving home a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is he could have it tied up. No one else is going to go at it, especially if it's your dream and it's the right property for you.
Yeah.
And you just want to, look at some other extra costs and then be able to evaluate it. You can do that while it's all tied up.
right. And in this case, so here's another. This is the good thing is, and sometimes we'll get under contract and then we'll call the power company and find out that there's 6 weeks, but we know today that we need 6 weeks of due diligence.
Exactly.
Technically 6.5 weeks, because they're
Exactly.
6 weeks to get the engineer out there, and then he's got to screw around and write his report and
Right.
pull his calculator out and do 2 + 2 and figure out that, oh yeah, we could have done this 6 weeks ago, but we wouldn't have had $750.
Right. Right.
Unfortunately, that's just what the utility companies are doing right now. So
Yeah. No, that's a good point. You want to practice your due diligence under contract.
yes. That's what.
Not
it's
only that,
there
it gives
for.
you the right to do that.
It's what. Yes, and there's several different ways that a seller can respond to
Right.
that. But I can tell you from my experience, if I go in there loaded up with, hey, Northern Lights is 6 weeks out from getting us the numbers that are important to us, then and we can get a well witcher out there in that amount
Yep.
of time, then it's more understandable than if I just send over an offer.
Right.
Don't call the guy.
Yeah.
Just magically email the offer. I mean, at this juncture in time, I've had at least 3 conversations with the listing agent, and we haven't even sent over the offer yet.
Right.
Right? Now, there's another good thing about the new NAR settlements that, oh my gosh, agents might talk a little bit more. Hallelujah.
Well, that's what you want anyway.
All right, so hypothetically, you just sold your house, Kyle. Congratulations. You just closed on 123 Main Street. Let's take the photo in front of the title company. and I hand you the newest, latest, and greatest "How's her doing?" mug, coffee mug.
Yeah.
And then what? How do you get
Then
your
you drink
money?
out of it.
Does the mug come with the
This money's-
$467,000 that you just sold your house for?
It could if I wanted a cashier's check, but you might sign your life away and sign off on the house, and the buyers have signed.
And there's a lot of signatures there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so a lot of times they'll say you're the seller. Well, if you're the seller, you can actually come in at any time and sign, right? The buyers are the ones waiting. Unless you're cash, the buyers are waiting for closing docs. And so after the buyers sign, then it needs to be funded and recorded. And you don't get paid until after it's recorded.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, you mean I don't get paid like today?
No. So if you signed on a Tuesday and the buyer signed on a Wednesday, and it depends on what time they sign. So if they sign on a Wednesday at 2 p.m., well, you're not going to be recorded and funded until the next day. On average, we try to get our clients in earlier, like around 11 or before, because we have a really good shot of being recorded and funded and recorded that day. And so my clients, if they're the seller, they'll go in, they'll sign, they'll come back maybe 3 hours later, 4 hours later, pick up their check or have it wired. And if it gets wired to your account, don't freak out if it's not in your account that night, because a lot of times the banks are put it in a holding just to make sure it's not fraudulent, and it'll be in your bank account the next day.
Okay, good. So, super excited. Appreciate you selling my house for me, Kyle. When I get that check, then I'll go back to the house and start getting the stuff out of the house.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to be doing that now.
Nope. That's another story for
sure.
another day. Well, this has
Absolutely.
been a pleasure as always, my
Right on,
brother. I'm Brian K.
I'm Kyle A.
Peace.